Alright guys, hope you're all keeping well, family as well, and you're all staying safe. Today I've got a few news related things to cover. Firstly, following the news of the new weighting changes for loot to fix rainbow rolls on Wednesday's State of the Game, the devs have now changed their mind, so we're going to go over what's happening with that now. At this point we don't know if Skyscraper is paid, so I wanted to discuss that along with a new potentially game-breaking glitch, albeit a fun one in PvE I'd imagine, with sticky bombs and some other little bits and bobs I just want to go over. If you want to support me, the best way to do that is to watch the video in full, drop a like down below and subscribe. With that said, sit back and let's begin. First things first then, rainbow loot. Now Wednesday's State of the Game, the devs gave us their proposed solution to addressing this highly debated topic within the community, and I was a little bit surprised with their solution actually, because it's what I said they should do before realizing how it really just wouldn't work. Now if you didn't watch the stream or have any idea what I'm talking about, or you just don't care about rainbow loot but you still want to get an update, then I'm just going to give you a kind of a short synopsis. So the devs' planned change to be tested on the PTS was to guarantee that the one first minor attribute would always match whatever the core attribute is on that piece of gear. So Providence, you've got a fixed red roll, while the first attribute's always going to be red. Now this meant that for gear sets you'd always roll a full colour, because gear sets only have two attributes, so you'd always get, you know, red red or yellow yellow or blue blue, and that's causes a whole other issue. And on another piece of gear with one core and two minors, you'd always have the core and the one minor match, with the two minor attributes being random. Now this is the exact system I proposed a while back to kind of fix the rainbow loop, but it won't work, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. So following this proposal to be tested on the PTS, the devs received quite a lot of backlash in the forums and on Twitter concerning the implications of such a system. Now quite simply, this system would have made some variations of gear with builds impossible to make. It would have destroyed builds that currently exist in the game right now. And I'll just give you an example. If you take, say, Grupo Sombra SA, for example, this piece always rolls with a red core attribute. And this is a fixed roll with two randomly rolled minor attributes. So you get your standard core and then two minors there. Now, that works fine in the current system, because for those people who want an all yellow Grupo piece, a popular piece for a kind of a skill DPS hybrid build, that's fine. But if the devs were to guarantee that one attribute always matched the core, which they suggested, this means an all yellow Grupo piece would no longer be possible to make, even with recalibration. This piece would just be impossible to make with the new system. The Grupo would only ever drop as red red red, or red red blue, or red red yellow. So there's no way to get yellow 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 or whatever you want. And the same could be said for something like Golan gear as well. You know, I've seen this brand be used in an all yellow setup. That would be impossible to get, as Golan has a fixed blue core roll. The implications of this system would mean that people who've created builds with these pieces, you know, in this way, would no longer be able to do it. And this is pretty much the backlash the devs got, is that some pieces of gear or some variations of builds would be impossible. So with that in mind, and following this feedback, the devs actually confirmed they are going to be changing this weighting. Nikki Cuppins tweeted out yesterday saying, PSA, after further consideration, we will lower the on State of the Game suggested 100% chance of the first random attribute matching the core attribute colour to reduce rainbow loot because of the impact that it has on build flexibility. The new value will be tested on the PTS. Now the overwhelming response to this change was a positive one, and I think this was probably the best thing for them to do, actually, at least for right now. Now that's not to say I didn't offer other suggestions in response to this tweet, as the main issues for me were the original weighing of 100% stemmed from kind of the fixed core rolls. You know, not being able to use Grupo because of the fixed core, not being able to use Golem because of the fixed core. You know, on particular certain pieces of gear, my recommendation was to make core rolls random, but keep the 100% chance of one attribute matching the core. This would mean that if you wanted an all red piece, it would either drop for you, or you could recal for it, and the same would apply for hybrid builds as well. But importantly, this would actually remove rainbow drops from dropping completely at all. The only way to get what you want is either for it to drop as a full red or as a hybrid, or you can recal to get what you want, but there would be no more rainbow drops. Now the pushback I had was that this would increase RNG because core rolls would have to roll randomly now, which isn't the case for a lot of core rolls right now. But also the frustration with the possibility of having somewhat like skill tier roll on Providence, where that basically makes no sense on a Providence piece of gear. So the pushback, it made sense, and I kind of scrapped the idea, although I liked it in my head, but I can see why people wouldn't. I've not been able to actually think of a better way at this point, so I want you to leave your comments down below. Personally, I'm okay with having rainbow rolls drop, which will happen with the new weighting described in the tweet from Nikki, but they really have to be infrequent. I recommend the devs start at like a 75% weighting towards the first attribute match in the core and then go from there. Right now we don't know exactly what the weighting will be, but I do hope it's more in favour of kind of less rainbow drops. I know for some people who absolutely despise rainbow drops, and I do too as well, they won't like this, and they probably prefer the system that I mentioned about having core rolls drop randomly. But I think in the spirit of trying to appease everyone and come to a middle ground, I think that having a weighting of something like 75% towards the core and the first attribute matching could be a good balance. But we're going to have to see how it works out on the PTS. Next up, I came across a tweet from 2 days ago about a new sticky bomb glitch, and I wanted to bring it to light in this video because I'm a little bit surprised this hasn't got more traction or more attention, or been patched actually, because this could really benefit the player in PvE, which, as we know, the devs do like to jump on as soon as possible. It also has impacts on PvP, which, as we all know, the devs, at least from what we can tell, don't care too much about. So the tweet was from Mark Dragon, I think that's how you pronounce the surname, who says, "I found this glitch when I randomly shot 2 sticky bombs out when my rifle with boomerang on it was out." And then they attached a video to the tweet. Now I've watched the video, and basically they switched from the named 1886, the Virginian with perfect boomerang, to the sticky bomb in the firing range, and proceed to fire infinitely in kind of like a 2-shot pattern. Basically their ammo doesn't run out, it just fires like doo-doon, doo-doon. Now go check out the video for yourself, I'll leave a link to it in the description. I've tried to replicate this myself without the named 1886 weapon because I don't have it, but just with normal boomerang on a rifle, and I cannot get it to work. So this may just be tied to that weapon, I'm not sure at this point. Of course, the main concern with this is PvP. If this gets picked up on PvP, it'll just be another thing to add in there, along with the damage glitch, which I still don't think's been fixed at this point, which is why I believe it needs to be patched as soon as possible. For PvE, this looks like a lot of fun, to be honest, but I wouldn't recommend trying to replicate it or using it, just to be on the safe side, guys. Moving on, and Skyscraper is going to be revealed next Wednesday during State of the Game, but one of the big questions, aside from the obvious ones about what the game mode is all about, when's it come and all of that sort of stuff, is whether or not it's going to be free. Now the reason I'm bringing this up is because the question was recently asked on the Ubisoft forums, and the response we got from a Ubi representative was, wait 1 more week for the next State of the Game, and I think you'll have a better idea then. We are excited to talk about it. Now, I'm not naive to the fact that when it comes to reveals and tidbits of information, certainly with Ubisoft, they like to keep their cards to their chest until the very last moment. But just having this piece of information right now would put at least my mind at ease. And this is because I don't think it's going to be free. I think it's going to be tied to the Season Pass. If it is free, I do think that you're going to have to buy this. Buying the Season Pass might actually give you early access or possibly some additional rewards. I don't foresee Skyscraper coming out and being completely free and there being no monetary gain for Ubisoft with this mode. I just cannot see it happening. Now I hope that's not the case, because a huge portion of the community have been asking for a replayable game mode since the Division 2 first launch. So to be granted that wish but ordered to pay, I think would really not look good at all. With that said, the free content we've had so far, like Kenley College, has been universally criticised, whereas in the Division, the paid content was actually really, really good. You know, survival resistance, all of that stuff was paid. So I'm hoping the devs can do something they've never done before in this franchise here. And that's give us a free game mode. That's really good. The last thing is, if you've not attempted the Hornet Manhunt yet, just please be aware that there is currently no checkpoints. Meaning if you do go down at the end, you will have to start again. Now, I presume this is a bug, but I've seen a few videos of people finding this out for the first time, you know, starting back at the beginning of Tidal Basin, which is a pretty long mission, and of course being very, very frustrated about it. Now, I'm personally not going to attempt it until this has been fixed, because I know what will happen. I'll go in there, I'll play stupid at the end, I'll get downed and I'll regret it, and then I won't want to play. So I'm just going to not put myself in that position. I'm not going to play it until this has been fixed. Also, from what I can tell, this has not been acknowledged by the devs yet, either on the forums, obviously on State of the Game it wasn't acknowledged, so this is kind of just me putting it out there. If any of the devs do watch my videos and get this far into the video, well, I appreciate it, but also, can this please be looked at, because I do believe there should be a checkpoint here, and there isn't. So just a heads up, guys, okay, if you're going in there, remember this. That's it for today's video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Of course, Monday I'll probably have a video. It depends on if there's any news-related stuff to happen over the weekend. But if not, it'll either be Tuesday. It certainly will be Wednesday, where I'll be covering Skyscraper. So make sure you've got notifications turned on, and that way you won't miss my recap. I expect to hear a lot of news about Skyscraper, the new gear that's tied to it, the new exotic that's tied to it, all of that good stuff. We're probably going to hear more about Season 3. We'll certainly learn about when the PTS is going live and all of that sort of stuff. So if you don't want to miss out on that, make sure your notifications are turned on. With that said, I hope you all have a great weekend. Here in the UK, we've actually got a bank holiday on Monday, which means I'm not working, which is great. And I've got some stuff planned for the weekend with family, so it's going to be a good one. Hopefully you all keep safe, and until next week, Epic out.